Charleston, please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I was talking to one of my friends, and he said that he knew, the first time he knew his neighborhood was broke was when the bank closed. It's a pretty good indicator. The bank holds that branch's money, and that branch is falling off. And said he went to the bank. And, he basically just straight up asked the teller, he's like, hey, do you know why this branch is closing? And she was like, are you here to make a deposit or a withdrawal? And he was like, withdrawal. And she was like, yeah, that's why. That's it in a nutshell. That's exactly what's happening. You do enough of that, and then there is no bank. We're just kind of a building with a little bit of parking. I don't know. I look back at the ups and downs I've had in my life. I've been broke off and on my entire life, and there's a weird solace sometimes in being broke at the right time. Everyone thinks that the security is in having means and having money, but sometimes not being a part of the circus is its own solace in a weird way. You know that it's bad when you're really shopping at the dollar store. There are things anybody could use at the dollar store. You need a fly swatter, you might as well run up in the dollar store. You know what I mean? You need a dustpan, might as well run up in the dollar store. But if you're really shopping at the dollar store, things are not great. I would go in the dollar store for stuff you shouldn't even be buying from the dollar store. They sell it, but even the cashier look at you like, you sure? I'm talking about when you have to get your meat at the dollar store. I knew I was in a bad situation when I went to a dollar store and was looking at that meat in the fridge, and I was like, Because the meat at the dollar store, they don't go into specifics. You go to Kroger, Walmart, you go to Target, you go to any of these places, and you'll see the brand of the meat, and then you'll see, all of the little no preservatives ever, completely organic, all the stuff. When you go to the dollar store and you buy your meat, it just says the price and it says meat. And you're like, maybe if I don't ask any questions, it can be whatever I think it is. Because then, I also got a lot of stuff at the dollar store, even as a kid, that I look back and I'm like, that probably wasn't the best. Like a good example, if you know, when you shop at the dollar store, especially if you ever got toys at the dollar store, that dollar store toys are in a very specific, slightly copyright infringed arena of toy. You would have a G.I. Joe, but it doesn't say G.I. Joe. It just says soldier. And you buy this soldier, and it even got the setup like a G.I. Joe, like it stands like a G.I. Joe, but the legs a little too short. So some very long arms. I couldn't tell if the arms were long or the legs were short. And it doesn't have grip action. It says that on the front, grip action. It just has a hole. They didn't make a hand. They made a hole stub. And then this hole stub is what you go ahead and put the little toy gun through. But then they didn't really measure out the gun versus the hand. And so the gun is not in proportion at all. So it looked like this would blow his arm off if he tried to shoot it. But you bring it home and you're playing with it. And you're like, yeah, soldier, get him. And he's like, I'm going to get him. Oh, I'm going to get him. They getting it right now. Trust me. Nah, they getting it. Look. Point me over here. No, it was terrible. It was very bad. It was horrible. You know, you would have those dollar store crayons. That's another one. It's a very specific type of drawing as a kid, because those dollar store crayons, they melt in your hand. So you got to be quick with it. You got some imagination. It needs to come out now. You got to put those crayons in the fridge. I remember being around some of these Crayola crayon kids being like, your crayon's stale as hell. Y'all don't even freshen up your crayons. That's crazy. That's why your pictures stink. You know what I mean? My pictures smell like leftovers. I remember one of my favorite toys from the dollar store was like a Stretch Armstrong, right? But it was Stretch Arm. It would only stretch for like 3 days. Like you only got 3 good days. After that, it would get hard. And if you tried to stretch it after it got hard, it would cut your finger open. I don't know what it was made of, but it was the most malleable, unmalleable thing. It was Play-Doh and adamantium together. No, it was crazy. And that's the thing too, is when you're growing up in this situation, for anyone who knows what I'm talking about from experience, then you also know that it's very hard to know that you're broke, especially if you're a kid. It's hard to know if you are surrounded by love. My family loved me so much, so much. They still do. I make it sound like that. Make it sound like there was a falling out. They still love me. But no, I was surrounded by love. I had my grandparents, and my mom, and my dad's love. I had my aunt, and my uncle's love. I had my cousin's love. I had so much love around me. And when you're surrounded by that much love, you don't know that you don't have money when you have that much love until you meet somebody who has both. That is a curious experience. Like when you're like, oh, you got both parents and a pool? Okay, I think there can be upgrades to life. I see that now. To me, greed is a paradox, because you want everything. Even if you have more than enough, even if you have so much that what you have is starting to hurt you in the long run. You see it with the way that hedge funds cannibalize whole companies. It's like, okay, everybody made some short-term profit, but now this thing that people used to love doesn't exist. You know? Like you take like a Southwest. You know, Southwest, people used to love Southwest. Bags fly free. Affordable tickets. You just sit wherever. You don't have to wait for the person. Southwest used to be so fire, because then you don't have to wait for the person to get to their seat, and you don't have to get up for anybody. Do you know what it's like to just be in your seat on the plane? And everyone's almost here. There's a couple of stragglers. There's almost nobody coming down that aisle anymore. You even settle in. You're like, oh, I may not have a seat next to me. This may be the promised land. You get so comfortable, you're like, man, I might put my other leg over here. Southwest had a brilliant idea. And the bags were flying for free, which makes sense. The bags don't know where they're going. Why should I have to pay for this bag to have an experience too? And then greed, and then private equity, and then hedge funds, and then, shareholder meetings, and then dividends. All the things start to creep in, and it's like, maybe we'll stop doing everything that is why everyone likes us. Maybe we'll just be like the other airlines. They make money, but then you actually look at the people who fly Southwest, and they were like, oh, y'all. Y'all aren't nice enough to be like them, though. Like, your seat doesn't even go back like that. Why would I pay for everything here that I pay for over there? That's crazy. And so then you see people plummet, because they're making decisions based on money, but not money that they need, just more money that they might be able to get. You know? And there's only there's only so much that a business can grow. I understand a startup's passion, and that passion makes sense because the company just started. But after a while, it's like, do you really need to own everything? If the answer is yes, it's like, and they don't say it to us. They say it to each other. You ever get a hold of a recording of a closed door meeting and the way they talk about their own customers? You know, that's why greed is like a paradox to me. You're so greedy that then you end up cannibalizing your own company, your own efforts, yourself. You end up hurting yourself. American greed is another paradox, because as much as we know that the millionaires and billionaires maybe got their money in a way that's a little nasty, we also kind of want to be them a little bit. Everybody wants their piece, but we know how bad it is. You know? There are people who I know who want to be billionaires. They aspire to be billionaires. But if you ask them to name like a good billionaire, it's a hard quiz. But they want to be the billionaire because they're like, no, I will be different. How? You know? That to me is like a drug dealer saying, no, I'm gonna be different. Oh, how so? Oh, I'll only sell drugs to bad people. How will you know that they're bad people? You know, word will get around and they'll buy my drugs and I'll be like, that's a bad guy. No, it's not going to be different just because it's you. That's the trick as well. No, it's different when I do it. It's different when it's me. It's different when it's for me. It's different when it's for my family. Right? So then you hear people talk about recession. That recession is coming. Recession is looming. And to be fair, people have said that since the last recession. Every year, I'm not an economist, but every year there's somebody that's like, it's coming. Get ready, batten down the hatches. And so you're in this situation where, you know, people are very worried, and understandably so. Because it's not really about the money. Money is mostly like the conduit. Money's mostly the placeholder. There are people who find money to be a game, and for them, the number is the important thing. How much actual money they can stack and hoard is the real thing. I want to show how rich I am is the real thing. But for almost everybody else, it's about their survival. It's about taking care of yourself. It's about taking care of the people that you love. So when they hear that there's going to be a recession, they're not really thinking like, oh, the number will go down. They're thinking about food. They're thinking about housing. They're thinking about resources. You know, and the only way forward is with other people. We've proven that this thing doesn't work. And by this thing, I'm not just talking about like one specific system. I'm not talking about like capitalism. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about we've proven that a true rat race does not work. I can't believe the world watched Squid Game and was like, yeah, I think I could win the pot. The pot is the problem. You know? And then I think the other problem is that if you are pitted against people, if you're pitted against the other 330 so million Americans, then yeah, the odds look insurmountable. But when you see how many people are actually in your situation, and you see how many millions of people are just like you, and you put yourself on the same side as them, all of a sudden, all of the weight, it gets a little bit easier. You know, There are people around the world that will never have access to the things that we have access to that make it work. And so sometimes we stress, oh, how am I going to make it work? And it's like the number one way is through community. Your future is your neighbor. There's no other way forward. And I know that can be scary. That's an idea where you have to lay down so much trust at the feet of people that you don't know. That's very scary, because I've had good neighbors and I've had bad neighbors. I've had very bad neighbors. I had a neighbor who stole my trash can. It's the trash can. You could just put your trash in there too. Stole my trash can and lived next to me like I'm not gonna notice my trash can. And he was big too, and I'm pretty sure he sold drugs, so I wasn't gonna take my trash can back. But I was like, I will put my trash in my trash can over here though. Just because you stole the trash can doesn't mean I'm gonna get another trash can. It's a trash can, and trash goes in. You could put your trash over here, but then you wanted to put it in front of your yard. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm sure you have a gun, so I won't make a big deal of it. But I've had bad neighbors, and I've also had incredibly kind, incredibly sweet neighbors. I had neighbors that made any transition period I've been having in my life easier. I remember when I moved to Chicago and I was living in my first apartment, I had a neighbor that knocked on my door. I had been living there for like 2 days, and I didn't have stuff. I'm like this broke kid who just moved to Chicago with like 2 suitcases of like clothes and a couple of other things. And so knocks on my door, and it's like, hey, this older guy, and he's like, hey, I saw that you moved in. If you need anything or you have any questions about the building, just hit me up. I live right there. And I'm thinking he's like the building manager or something. So I'm like, oh yeah, what's your name? And we get to talking a little bit. And as we're talking, I realize he doesn't work for the building at all. This dude is literally just checking on me for the sake of checking on me. And he's like, if you need anything, because I saw, you were having a little trouble, I couldn't have caught up to you, but I was going to help you up and everything. And I was like, oh, thank you, man. And we didn't see each other often. And I remember the day that I moved out, because I ran into him again. I ran into him and his wife. And he was like, man, I'm sorry to see you go. Because I can tell, we never really got to chop it up or anything, but I could tell that I like the way you move. And you didn't cause any trouble. You were just cool. And I wish I would have knocked on your door a couple more times, right? I never forgot about that guy, because even knowing that there was someone there if I was having a problem, it just made living there on my own a little bit easier. Just in the back of my head. Once again, we didn't even have that many interactions. I only knocked on his door a couple times. And the couple of times I knocked on his door, he needed help too. There was one time where we had in our building a chute for the laundry that nobody used. Nobody ever used it, because it's not like it was one person. Do you ever, the chute for, this isn't Eloise. It's weird that there was a chute for the laundry, because it just went to the floor down there, and you'd have to go down there to wash your own clothes anyway. So I guess if you wanted to save yourself the weight of the trip, you could push all the clothes down and let them get nice and nasty, and then slip through the chute and then hit the ground, and now it's got different stuff on it than the reason that you're washing it. So nobody used it. And nobody used it because it was nasty. And so then one day, the actual building manager poured a whole bunch of bug poison down it to try to kill some of the bugs that had been living in there. And the bugs were like, you know what? I think we'll go everywhere else. And so then one day I came home and my apartment was just overrun with bugs, and it didn't make sense because I didn't even have stuff. I had a fork, a bowl, it was kind of like a saucer. It wasn't a plate. It was a plate that you would put a teacup on. I didn't even have dishes to be nasty enough to have all these bugs. So I'm freaking out. I'm killing a bunch of bugs, and then I run over and I knock on his door, and when I open his door, he looks like me. He's like, you too? And Both of us just knowing that we're both dealing with bugs was enough to make the whole thing easier. He helped me kill some of my bugs. I helped him kill some of his bugs. And we were both very upset with the building manager. I had another neighbor when I was living this like short little bit in this, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, it was a house, but it was like, you know how there's it wasn't a duplex. Okay, the house I was living in was like perfectly split in two, right? To make two unlivable houses. Okay, so I wasn't staying there for long, but it was just two completely unlivable houses, right? And I had a neighbor that lived next to me where I moved in, and once again, this older lady, so sweet as could be, knocks on my door, and it's like, hey, I saw that you just moved in. She had baked something, like old school, like out of the movies. She had baked something. She was like, I made you a little something, some muffins. I know moving is hard. I know sometimes you don't have anything to eat right after you move, so this is for you, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And she was like, yeah, I like to help people get their bearings. And just so you know, I just want to be the one to tell you so you don't have to find out on your own. There's a crackhead in the wall. And when you get that type of warning, it does make you look at the muffins twice. One has nothing to do with the other. But I was still like, oh. And she was like, yeah, we thought it was a bird for a long time. And then he started talking. And so if you hear anything in the middle of the night, just pound on the wall a couple times and he'll stop. I was like, okay. All right. Okay. And I closed the door and I sat in silence for the rest of the night, waiting to hear a noise that would never come. It wasn't until like months later I heard some scratching in the wall, and I was like, how does somebody just live with it? And so I knocked on her door, and she came to the door. She was like, you hear him too. And I was like, look, I know you lived here longer than me, but in case it is a bird, maybe we should call animal control. Just throwing it out there, right? And she's like, you can do what you want. I called animal control, and then they could hear the scratching too. And then they went ahead and went on the roof, and they said that they found a slight hole in the roof, and turns out it was a bird. It had been a bird the entire time, and I'm pretty sure it was a bird when she heard it, but maybe she just had the TV on. Maybe she was like, he's talking. Animal control leaves with the bird. I go over, I tell her it was a bird, animal control called the bird, and she was like, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much. That has been happening for like 8 months, off and on, and I was positive it was a crackhead. And I guess that's what a good neighbor does. I guess a good neighbor lets you know nobody's in your wall. Because I think fundamentally the toughest thing people are facing right now is like a true a true way forward where they can trust other people to help them and take care of them. And I can't tell you to just blindly put your faith in people that you don't know, even if they live next to you. But what I can tell you is that most people return energy. Most people give like for like. So if there's a community that you want around you, all you have to do is be its founder. If you are the one knocking on your neighbor's door, letting them know you're here, if they need anything, they'll probably do the same for you. And it's so simple to build community. It's so much more likely that you're going to build community than you're going to become a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? Like, both things are incredibly hard to do. They take a lot of hard work and everything, and one of them means everyone will hate you. You know, because when you're broke as well, the thing that happens, I think, the most often is that we have a real misunderstanding of each other. Rich people, the rich people that I've met in my life, no rich person I know feels rich. They feel comfortable. Now, they'll do whatever it takes to maintain their level of comfort, but they don't feel rich. They're like, no, I'm just comfortable. I'm just chilling. And you show them how much they make, and they're like, yeah. I got to maintain, you know, I got kids, and then you show them how much the rest of the world makes, and they're like, ooh. Okay, maybe we don't tell anybody how much I make. And the same thing, when you're broke, there's a genuine misunderstanding around the decisions that people make when they're poor, around the way that people think, because there's not the possibility of thinking past tomorrow, because you're not even sure you're going to get there. Do you know what I mean? When you really don't have means, when you really don't have money, you come off wild sometimes because all your requests are strange, because you're just trying to piece things together just so you can make it to the next day. You know? Like a good example is I used to work at a grocery store, and one time in the break room, we're eating our lunch, and this one dude opened his lunch and then just said out loud to everybody, hey, I made a hamburger at home, but oof, does anybody have a top bun? Sir, they're always sold even. How did this happen? We look at money as paper, right? At least when it's in its physical form, it's this paper thing. But it's more than paper. There's fabric weaved into it. There's linen, there's cotton. It works the same way that society works. There's fabric that weaves all of us together. And there are people who have not been able to participate in the opportunities of making money or making their well-being out of these chances in the market the way that other people have. And so when you tell them that a recession is coming, they're like, oh, a what? Okay. I was already broke. Do you know what I mean? What is a recession to somebody who was on the street the whole time? I guess the best example I can give is one time I was at a party with my friends, and I fell in the pool. And falling in the pool at a party is one of the more embarrassing things you can do when it's not a pool party. If you fall in the pool at a party where people are just sort of standing around the pool and talking, you might as well have fallen off the roof. But I fell into the pool at the party, which is not just embarrassing, it's not just annoying because now all my clothes are wet and everything. It's terrifying because I can't swim. You know what I mean? I'm not a swimmer in the way that I would like to be, and the way that I would like to be is to be able to survive. And so when it comes to swimming, I'm not only not a fan, I'm not efficient. And so I get in the water, and when you don't swim, and I don't just mean can't swim, I'm saying when you don't swim, like for fun or anything, being surrounded by water out of nowhere is very concerning. I didn't realize I had stepped into the pool until I was in the pool. So now what I feel like has happened is that I turned around and water surrounded me. And so I start doing what I think swimming is innately. I start fighting the water, right? I'm punching and I'm kicking and I'm like, get off me, water, but I'm in the water. But I'm like, get back, I don't want you over here. And that's not how water works. And so I'm sifting through the water and it's almost like swimming, except I'm staying in place underneath it. So that is drowning. That's what drowning is. When you're swimming perfectly, but you're not going up above and you can't get your head up, you're not actually swimming, you're drowning. And it's also exhausting. You're fighting and you're punching, you're kicking, and you're moving, and you're doing a pretty good job of drowning. If you could get your head above water, this would be swimming. And if you could get your chest up, if you could do that butterfly thing, now you're a swimmer. But I am over here, no more water. Get out of my face, right? So then it takes someone pulling me out of the water for me not to actually drown. And not right after, not soon enough after, but pretty soon after, we leave the party. And not as soon as you would like if you almost drowned. You know what I mean? Like and it's tough too, because like the dude saved you as your ride. So now he's doing you two favors, you know? So then, you know, man saves me. And my buddy pulls me out of the water. And now, you know, we stay an extra 20 minutes because now he's got his MAC points for saving a life in front of everybody, you know? That's what most embarrassing. The only thing more embarrassing than like showing a whole party full of people you can't swim is to be sitting there wet while the person that saved you tries to mac on somebody. Just like, yeah, you know, I do what I can. I do what I try to help out the people, you know, when doing my best. And it's like, also, my man didn't. Look, I'm not necessarily trying to give notes on being saved, but like, my man did jump in the pool and grab me and lift me up and swim me to the shore of the edge of the pool, right? This man just stuck his arm in and kept clawing at me until he got the back of my shirt. That's barely saving. Like, when I tell you that I'm over here, stop it, water, no, I don't want any more. And then he is over here, bow, and he missed like 8 times. So he was punching me in the head while trying to save my life. And he finally hooks his hand behind my collar and pulls me up the way that a cat sort of lifts its kitten in its mouth. You know what I mean? Just sloppy. And then I'm also still fighting. I don't know what's pulling me up, so I don't know if that's more drowning. I don't know what the effects of drowning feel like. So now I'm not necessarily fighting his hand, but I am still fighting the water. And so if you were on the other side of the pool, it does look like I was drowning. He reached in, dunked me one more time just to be safe, and then pulled me up. Because I don't know that he's trying to help me. But when he finally pulls me up and I'm over here coughing up the water and everything, this man helps me get up out of the pool and then immediately sees the eyes on him and everything, sees the opportunity, and he's like, oh, yeah, you know. I do what I can. Also, I know he saved my life and everything, but also the fact that he didn't need to roll his sleeves up like that. Like that was even more just worth like, oh yeah, you know, I tried. Now you sitting here wet, just like, can you wrap it up, get the number or don't? And so then me, him, and some other friends head to his car once he's ready to leave, and his car won't start. Waited for nothing. Now, luckily, we were staying at his house, and luckily he did live close enough to the party that we could walk. It was like maybe, I don't know, like a mile and some change. It wasn't crazy. And so we start walking. As we start walking, it starts drizzling. And then it's drizzling a little bit more, drizzling a little bit harder, and then it really starts raining. And when it starts raining, all my friends did a different thing when it was raining. Like, I had one friend that did the turtle. Just walking and just trying to... And I get it, because he has some deep collarbones. He would have had 2 lakes on either side of his neck if he had just let the water hit. That would have been 2 puddles he had to carry. So I understand him trying to... Then I had another friend who was over here doing this, which genuinely pissed me off. That's one of the craziest things I've seen. You have 2 hands, one hand covering some of your head, but not even efficiently. Where's the distance management here? You'd be better putting the hand on your head. And then I had another friend who just decided to lean forward, because I guess he just doesn't want a wet front. He's just cool with it all hitting the back. And as it's raining and raining, my friend was over here doing this, turns to me, because I'm just walking. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just walking normal. And they're like, "Oh, John, you must not mind the rain." And I was like, I almost drowned 20 minutes ago. And that's what it's like when you're broke. You're almost drowning all the time. So when people try to scare you with talks of a recession, you're like, why would I? What? You're doing this. I'm already wet. And the way to ensure that you're going to be okay, the way to ensure that your family is going to be okay, is by creating chains, by linking up together with other people, with other families. Because the way forward, your future, I guarantee you, it's not in the market. There's a belief that, like, if I can just get enough ahead, maybe I'll pull some other people with me. And that sort of thinking is the reason that we as the people can be taken advantage of so easily when it comes to money. It's like, I can get you a little bit ahead. Oh, I'd like to be a little bit ahead, right? But the way forward, your future, I promise you, it's in your neighbor. I promise you, there's no one that's going to take care of you like the people that are actually next to you. And it's kind of daunting to me. It does freak me out a little bit that there are so many people, every election, every year, no matter who's president, that expect the person in office to make them rich. Don't you know this is America? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just not how it works. It's not how it's ever worked. You may like the person in office, you may not, but I guarantee you they're not going to make you rich. That's not how anything works. And don't get me wrong, I've had dreams before. I had a hard time getting to know people, and I had a hard time communicating with people. I'm an only child, and my mom wanted me to have friends so I wouldn't be crazy. And so, as a single parent with one kid, my mom, the only thing she knew how to do was go ahead and take me over to her other single parents' friends' houses where they had one kid, and she was like, maybe y'all will just play and not be crazy together. And sure enough, there was a time in my life where my parents got back together, and so we were a 2-income household, so I started to get the good toys, right? The real good toys. I'm talking WCW, NWO, wrestling toys, Sting, Goldberg, Kevin Nash. And sure enough, you know, I remember I got those toys. Those are some of my favorite toys in the world because I didn't know ankles had come out yet. I would hold up my Kevin Nash and I'd be like, bow, 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 bow. Look what he does. Bow, 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 bow. He had knees, he had ankles, he could do this. That's crazy. I was used to this only. Maybe if you were getting fancy, some of this, but I wasn't used to this. This thing right here, this is crazy. Real shoulder movement? My mind was blown. It's like, look at what this thing can do. Bow, 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 right? And so then my mom took me over to her friend's house, and her friend had a kid, and I went ahead and brought over 2 of my toys. I brought my Kevin Nash and I brought my Sting because I'm trying to make a good impression. And so we're talking, they're talking, and finally we go to his room to play, and my mom leaves to go run some errands or something. And I quickly realized after my mom left that he was crazy. He was genuinely crazy because all of his toys, every single one of his toys, didn't have a face. None of his toys had faces. I don't know if he was chewing them or if he was burning them, but they were gone. And so he looked at my Sting toy and he was like, oh, we have the same one. And I was like, I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that's possible. And then sure enough, this kid pulls out his Sting toy, and I know we have the same toy because the Sting had the jacket. The jacket you could put on, you could take off and everything. And so we're playing, and I'm trying to be a collaborative new friend, right? I'm like, what do you want to do? You want to do Legos? You want to do like wrestlers, whatever? And then we decide Legos. So I was like, do you want to build a castle? You want to build a wall? What do you want to do? So we decide to build a castle, right? And then this kid, we're halfway through the castle, maybe 100 pieces to go. And this kid grabs the castle, lifts it up, throws it against the wall. It explodes into like 190,000 pieces. And I'm like, what did you do that for? And he goes, don't talk to me. And I was like, oh man, yeah, chill, Satan, chill, okay? Back up, devil, okay? Because I had been prepared in case the situation happened, because I knew I wasn't a crazy only child, but I knew there were other crazy only children out there. So I already had my thing on me, right? I had that lance in my back pocket. I was like, don't you come near me. I will cut you open. This thing is 6 weeks old.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
I love being in Seattle. It's dope here, you know. Feels like if Brooklyn had mountains. Yeah, it's just a more relaxed, seemingly relaxed pace of life here than I'm used to. Because even y'all's, I'm not critiquing, I'm just noticing. Even y'all's crime is at a slower pace. You know what I mean? Like, y'all still got crime and everything, but when it happens, it's like, everybody's like, oh yeah, that is illegal. This didn't happen this time, but years ago, I was in Seattle and I saw, it was a very confusing sight. I don't know what I saw, but what it looked like from the outside, looking in Brooklyn to Seattle, what it looked like was this woman's purse had been stolen. But the thief and the woman weren't running. I think that's what confused us all, because we were, like, one of two things was happening, all right? Either a couple had an argument. The man walked away, forgetting he had been holding his girlfriend's purse. So he walking off in a huff, and then she following him because maybe she knows whatever she said went a little too far this time. Or a man with very little commitment to his craft stole a woman's purse and then casually walked off. And then a woman who must not care about the purse decided, I'll go get it. It was so confusing because the man was walking, and he was walking like casually. He's just walking, holding the purse, but just walking. And then the woman behind him is like, hey, hey, hey. And then at one point she leaned towards the purse to grab, the strap. And the man was like, huh. That's when I had to reassess the whole situation. Because what if it was not this woman's purse? What if this woman is the lazy thief? What if this man is just trying to have a day out with his purse, and this woman who likes the purse is like, I would like to have that, and I don't plan on paying or running. And they just continue like that down the street. Hey, hey, hey. I watched them do this into the distance. I didn't want to get involved because you ever get involved in an argument and you pick the wrong side, and now you don't know where you stand. You see two people arguing and everything. It's like you try to step in, try to be not necessarily a hero, but just a good Samaritan. Hey, what's the problem here, right? And then you feel like at the end of this thing you should have just left it alone. One time, I was doing a bar show, and we get out of the bar show, and in the parking lot is this couple having this shouting match, and this big old dude and this tiny woman, and he's not moving in a way that's threatening her, but he is like just yelling at her real loud, and she's yelling too, but he's got a booming voice, and she just can't match his level. And they are getting like a little closer. He's still not like bucking up or anything. It's just, if anything, she's walking up to him, I guess to make her point, a little bit more clearly. And so, I don't know, my friends and I saw this, and I just walked over, just being like, hey, y'all good? What's with all this yelling? And admittedly, I was talking to him. This is a big old dude yelling at this tiny woman. And I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, hopefully if I step in, somebody will back me up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not big enough to stop him, and I don't know the proper techniques, but if I throw myself at him and somebody else is coming, then maybe together we could come up with something to do. And so he's yelling, she's yelling. I'm like, hey, y'all good? Y'all good? What's up? What's up? Calm down, bro. What's up? And then he's like, she poisoned my dog. Because I had everybody looking at me from when I said, I'm going to go say something. And then they heard that part, and then I'm like, I wish I was over there with y'all, because y'all were in the minding your business section. That looks like a better section to be in. And I didn't know what to do because I don't know what their history is, but if the most recent thing that has happened is the poisoning of the dog, if the only thing that has happened is the poisoning of the dog, I think he might be in the right to raise his voice, to have a little volume, you know? I don't know the condition of the dog. And so he says that to me, and in the moment, they had both stopped yelling. They were both looking at me. And then the people who I left, my friends from the show, were also looking at me. And in my head, I'm like, well, this really shouldn't be on me. Like that, that's crazy. I came over to diffuse the situation, and then I became diffused. And so I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? She poisoned my dog. And then everybody's just staring. And so I'm looking at my friends, and I turn back to those two, and I go from looking at him to looking at her, and I go, stop it. Nah, I hate picking the wrong side. Nah, it sucks. I've been watching the news, and I can't help but be taken aback what's going on between people and the companies that these people buy from. You know, Target, they know. Believe me. Target has been in more than hot water. They have been boycotted this year because Target, they're an interesting case because they took it upon themselves to try to be, or at least seem, super inclusive of everyone. Now, these companies aren't people. They're trying to make money, and the hope there is that everyone will want to spend their money here if we look like we're for everybody. That's the idea that goes into it. And a lot of people would say that that's just good business. You want to appeal to as many people as possible, so as many people as possible buy your product or products, right? And so they did that. They took it upon themselves to be the place where it's like, look, Target, you can come here, you can get anything. It doesn't matter who you are. We'll make up products just for you. All right? When your month comes around, we're going to make products. We're going to make products that nobody ever made before because nobody asked for. We are going to blow your mind with our products just for you. And they did every year. They managed to blow my mind by making a product that, as a black person, I never knew I didn't want to see. You know, Black History Month would come around, and then they'd hit you with something where you're like, do you know any black people? Every product that Target came up with for black people during Black History Month felt like they came up with it off a rumor. Do you ever, in my head, I'm like, there's no way a black person pitched this thing, you know? It would just be like, it would be like grape flavored. You're groaning like you didn't see it too. Like, it just be like grape flavored root beer or something. It'd be like, hi, I don't know who told you to do this. They would come out with stuff that made you go, okay, well, even if a black person pitched you this, there's no way you're going to make enough money off of this new product to make it worth it. Like, in my head, I was like, selling this for a month doesn't make sense. I think you can have a lot of leftover grape-flavored root beer with nowhere to go. And so Target didn't just do it to, black people. They did it to everybody. All of my friends got a special month at Target that made them go, this is odd. And they never got the response that they wanted. You know, like I'm sure Target was like, oh, they'll love this. It's Pride Month, they'll love this. But none, not a single one, not any of my queer friends ever said, oh, we gotta get down to Target. They got that rainbow volleyball. You know that rainbow volleyball that we love because rainbow is our whole personality. You know how we've never wanted anything unless it was rainbow. People do to queer people with rainbow what they do to like black people with products sometimes, where they'll be like, I don't know how to market it to black, just make it music, I guess. You know, try and get more black people to, I don't know, eat at Burger King. They're like, what about some drums? You know? And so that's one of the things, is that Target in their efforts would sometimes still get into like these mini scandals off of people being like, what's the plan here? Some people would be offended sometimes. And then, you know, there's obviously the thing online where people would get mad at the people getting offended. They're offended, the people are offended. And then they take up for Target, kind of, but then they don't even want the product. It's not like they want the product. And so they're taking up for Target because they're like, hey, we like grape flavor root beer over here, right? That never happened. It was always someone like, they made it for you, why are you so offended, right? And then taking up for Target as if they want a rainbow volleyball. Very weird. It's like a very weird investment to get into like a product that nobody is buying. And then Target would try to like sidestep. They try to come up with something else. It would be worse. It'd be so much worse. Next year they're like, we're gonna do right by everybody. This product is gonna kill them. All right, they're gonna love it. Watermelon paper plates. And then they see the article and they're like, okay, maybe that was bad. I don't know. Maybe, how was I supposed to know? It's not like any black people are like in the C-suite, so. You know, there was one too that cracked me up. This one genuinely is very funny to me. Like none of them really offended me, but I really couldn't get offended at this one because it was so funny. So basically, Black History Month came around and they had made a bunch of like prominent black leaders, these magnets with a bunch of prominent black leaders on them, and all of the magnets were like labeled to the wrong person. Like it was you could just tell whoever did it that day. Like they were looking at Booker T. Washington, they were like, Muhammad Ali. Like, I just don't know who that product's for. Like personally, I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know who was like, oh, life is good. It's almost perfect. But you know what I don't have? Martin Luther King on my fridge. And sometimes people were more than just offended by these products. Sometimes people felt like that this was like a direct mocking or something, you know? And so then they would boycott Target. And a lot of these previous boycotts, I don't really know how much market value, I don't really know how much stock went down, because there wasn't really a unified front on some of these boycotts. I'm sure they hurt, but they didn't make news in how much they hurt, you know. And then in 2020, in the wake of George Floyd's murder, right, Target, like a lot of companies, made pledges. They made pledges. Target pledged somewhere in the neighborhood of like $2 billion to black businesses over time, and $100 million to black communities also over time. And yeah, that was you look back at 2020 and you remember 22. You remember what everybody was like, we gonna stop being racist. Remember that? Remember in 2020, I mean, we were all in our rooms. Everybody was like, who would I even be racist to? They're not here. You know how hard it is to be racist when they not even here. We're gonna stop it. We're all gonna stop it. Companies pledge to stop it. People pledge to stop it. Everything. And then we got outside and we were like, oh, I remember. This is America. Come on now, we gotta do a little racism. We said it, but come on, we said a lot of things, all right? We said we were gonna learn another language. We didn't do that either. We were inside. You say crazy stuff when you get cabin fever, like, I'll stop being racist. No. And so then you have the next few years where Target themselves, no one was talking to Target that I know of. Nobody had put a target on Target to like be the great hope of black business. They got involved. They were like, and we'll do $2 billion. But nobody was looking at them that I know of. They just inserted themselves, like an annoying person would. And they made a big pledge. That's a big pledge. Even if you were a multi-billion-dollar company, $2 billion is like a lot. And so you see when Target gets all into all the diversity, all the inclusivity and everything, that's just to try to make money. I hope we can all understand that. And not just because they betrayed the things that they said that they cared about like 5 years ago. I think even when they were saying it, even when it was happening, we were like, okay. I mean, I look at a company making promises about how much its mission cares about people, multi-billion-dollar company. I look at that the way I look at like sexting. If you've ever been sexted before, depending on who it is, you've read the message and you've said to yourself, the thing I say to myself when I read the mission statement of $1 billion company, you're not gonna do all that. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. And I don't even know where this money was supposed to go or where it started going or if it was just for the press release. I have no idea. But I know that when Trump won, Trump immediately, day one, was like, we're going to get rid of DEI. We're going to get rid of all of these programs. We want everything to be merit-based and fair. So obviously we have to get rid of as many people as possible who earn their position over time. And so that's what he did. He started making moves immediately. And then Target, once again, could have done nothing. That's what's so crazy about the situation Target's in. They could have said nothing. Nobody was checking for the watermelon paper plates. In fact, if a Black History Month went by and Target didn't make a new product, we probably would have thought, wow, good on you. Y'all really have learned from your ways. Y'all really a regular store now. You're not trying to help or anything. You're not throwing out, Malcolm X, but it's Michael Jackson. Y'all are just being a regular store where I can go buy regular paper plates. They didn't have to say anything, but then Target came out once again, inserting themselves like an annoying person would, and being like, hey, we're getting rid of DEI too. People were like, oh, okay. Once again, no one was talking to you. And look, these are moves that are made for money. That's what they always were. Even when I heard about those pledges from Target, it didn't make me go, oh, Target, you care about me? I was like, all right, yeah, I guess the next time I'm on my way home, I need one of those, like, toothpick things. You know, the thing that's like floss, but it has a handle. I guess if I need one of those and Target is on the way home, maybe I'll buy it at Target. That's as much as it moved me. But just because I didn't have a business and I didn't really know what this pledge meant, so it didn't like change my mind about Target. I don't care about Target enough for my mind to be changed. I just went on about my life. And then whenever they made this statement of like, we're getting rid of all of our DEI too, I was like, guys, I still don't care about you. Like, you can't move me one way or the other. There are other stores on the way home. But people who either were pledged that money or have been watching Target to make sure they kept their word, they noticed that statement. And they noticed that it's pretty convenient to get all the social capital out of making a pledge. A $2 billion pledge and a $100 million pledge that you haven't had to come up good on. And now you're going to end it just in time to not really get to get into it. That's very convenient. And so then there were people who called them up on it. They were like, all right, look, a pledge is a pledge. You can label it however you want, but you said publicly that you would be donating this money. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to boycott. We're going to boycott Target. And then this Target boycott started. And a lot of people poo-pooed it initially. A lot of people were like, Target gets boycotted all the time. Didn't you hear about the grape-flavored root beer? But this thing was different. And there's a lot of numbers in it. There's a lot of numbers to the tune of $100 million to more than $2 billion. This thing takes off, like really takes off. And I found out about it late. I did. I'll tell you right now. I found out about the Target boycott very, very late. And I don't mean very, very late as in yesterday. I found out about it when I was in Target. I was in Target. And then there was somebody also in Target leaned over to me and was like, hey, we don't shop here right now. You got to see this from my perspective real quick. From my perspective, I had gone into a store. Into a store. I'm not thinking about his Target. I went into a store to get what I needed to get. And then while shopping, I was approached by someone who was like, we don't shop here right now. You know how perplexing that is? So many things were going through my head at one time. Because the first thing is like, we don't shop here right now. In my head, I'm like, all right, do you work at like Walmart or something? Like, do you... What's your deal, right? Then I had another thought. I was like, okay, all right. We don't shop here right now. But you're in here. I said, but you're in here. And they were like, I'm in here to let people know we don't shop here right now. And I was like, oh, interesting and effective. Like I wasn't aware. It's just so funny to have somebody in the store to let people know we don't shop at the store. It just feels like the most it's just the most like what's it called? It's the most civility I've seen in what must feel like to the store, robbing the store. Because I put that, like in my hand I had the toothpick with the handle, and I was like, oh, I already had it in my hand, but I guess I can put it back. And then I walked out, and that's money that they didn't make. It's like that thing is effective. And so I didn't buy the toothpick thing. I left, right? And in my head, I left, but I was also like, all right, that thing was like $6, so I guess they didn't get my $6, but hopefully they really needed it. Hopefully that $6. I love when a company who's done something bad need the money bad. Like, you know, like when somebody needs the money bad, they're like, hey, look, brother, look. If you can hold me over with this $8. And so, you know, I left. I went to CVS. To my knowledge, they hadn't done anything, so felt like a safe place to get the toothpicks. I've had something in between my teeth the entire day, so I need it desperately. Even when the man was telling me we don't shop here right now, he was like, ooh, you got... And so I left. And wasn't really sure what would come of it. And then on the way home, I'd see Target and be like, yeah, whatever. I'll make it to CVS. It's 2 more blocks. Really not knowing, because a boycott now is different than a boycott from the past. A boycott from the past, you had to. It was imperative that you used your body and your voice to be there in real time. You had to go there. You had to go out. You had to pick it outside of the store to let people know how you felt about the store. And the numbers that you had, it sort of dictated the narrative, you know? Because they couldn't run. They had newspapers that they could maybe run some ads in or try to create a narrative, but nobody could argue with what they saw with their own eyes. Not yet. It wasn't present day. Because now, if you want to boycott, you have options. You have options you never had in the past. You can be there with your voice, with your body, right? Or you could be online organizing a different picket line, organizing a different room full of people in agreement with you, outrage at this company, you think they've done something wrong. And it doesn't even have to be a worthy cause. Truly, that's what's crazy about it. It's like, it's the same as it's always been, but there's just different avenues to do those same things. So now you have the benefit. Instead of needing to fly everyone who cares about this thing and thinks this thing to the same space that you're in right now to be in a picket line with you so you can show the company that hundreds, maybe even thousands of people feel this way, you can just be online. These companies, they're trying to be just like us. They're trying to act and behave like people. They want you to think of them as a person, which is why they do things to try to ingratiate themselves to you like a person would. They make pledges of things they'll do, things that maybe would ingratiate you to them and feel like they're your friend. They're not your friend, they're a corporation. But you can use the fact that they want to seem like a person to you to let them know how you feel about them. That's access that has never happened until now, you know? And so you get all of these people doing it at one time, and it does have a compound effect. Because it's not as visible as it was in 50s, 60s, 70s, I think we sometimes lose a little bit of hope and a little bit of understanding of what a boycott can do or what a protest can do. Because it seems like these companies have so much money that they can never be brought back down. But that's just not true. You know, you look at Target from then to now, and I know market valuations go up and down. I know they fluctuate. Things are not set in stone just because they go bad for a while. But them going bad for a while is a wake-up call to the company. And people boycotted Target, even up until present day. I don't know when it'll be over, to be honest with you. I really don't know when I can go in Target again. And I'm not thirsty to go in Target again. I'm just like, it's on the way home, and I just have to keep reminding myself, like, no, we not, no, right? But Target has lost more than it promised. Target's lost more than $100 million and has lost more than the $2 billion that it pledged. By the most recent estimate that I saw, and it could be different on a different day, it could be different in this moment, but Target, through this boycott, has lost somewhere in the neighborhood of $12.4 billion in market value. And it's because of people boycotting. I think a boycott is also difficult to wrap your head around sometimes because it's not doing something. You know what I mean? It's not, you aren't. It's not like when you go and protest, you went and you protested, and now your throat is sore, your feet tired. But a boycott is like, don't. Like y'all are doing it right now. Like y'all are boycotting Target right now. You just don't go. Because I'm like chronically online, sometimes people get upset about stuff, and I don't get it because it's not my thing to be upset about. Like it's not, maybe it's not my culture, or I don't have the connection to it that other people have. So, I don't necessarily take all outrage seriously, but when people are upset, I try to hear them out to a point. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree, but I'm like, let's see why this is such a big deal. And I didn't know about the attack on culture that's been happening this week. I didn't realize how bad things are out here. I didn't know. Admittedly, I didn't know. I looked into it as soon as I did. I had no idea the impact of changing the Cracker Barrel logo. I didn't know what this would do to people. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, what is Cracker Barrel? If you were sitting there wondering, what is Cracker Barrel? You've lived a good life. If you're sitting there wondering what Cracker Barrel is, you are doing perfectly fine. But just to bring you up to speed, it is a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant, and they have a side that is restaurant. They have a side that's like little gift shop, knickknacks and stuff. It's very cute. I grew up in the South, so I grew up with Cracker Barrel, right? And Cracker Barrel, they look. Listen to me, all right? Sometimes something happens, and everyone is so reactionary now that like they don't form their opinion authentically. I saw this and I didn't care. And when you don't care, you're able to be at least a little bit closer to objective, right? So I saw what was happening. And they changed the Cracker Barrel logo. If you've never seen the Cracker Barrel logo, get ready. As far as logos go, it does the job. It says Cracker Barrel, and then there's a barrel. And then there's a guy next to the barrel, right? And the guy next to the barrel posted up. The guy next to the barrel is out here feeling himself. He's over here like... And the new logo says Cracker Barrel with really nothing else, or really like just two ovals around it. It is objectively worse. I understand that the people upset are making it about something that I at least don't think it's about, right? Because there were people that saw them get rid of the guy and the barrel. And then they were like, this. The first impression was of someone who had a stroke over it. But people genuinely were like, this is insane. This can't stand. This is white genocide. Listen to me. I'm no expert, and I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. But I'm pretty sure that just as many white people are alive after they changed the logo as there were before the logo change. And any people who have sadly passed was incidental. I don't think it had anything to do with the Cracker Barrel logo change specifically. And look, I don't know who this dude was I don't know if somebody just drew him or if that's like the founder. I don't know, because admittedly I didn't care enough to get into it. But all I know is that look, I'm not on their side as far as everything they're saying, but this is a worse logo. Like, it just is. They basically did the Washington football team to white people. They just up there saying what it is and not giving us anything else. Nah, it's rough. It really, that's bad. Especially with that guy, I don't know. Y'all did it. It said Cracker Barrel, and then there was the barrel, and then there was the guy. Y'all being rude, not me. And so, yeah, Cracker Barrel was facing immense backlash, threats of a boycott. They done with Cracker Barrel over here. And admittedly, look, if we're talking business for a second, just business, it is kind of wild that the CEO said something to the effect, this is what I've read, the CEO said something to the effect of, MAGA doesn't have to eat here, we'll respect their decision not to, right? So they got directly called out. They got directly called out by this CEO. I don't even know what prompted it. I don't know what the question was that led to that answer. But I will say, look, we talking business. From business. Remember, business. I'm gonna throw it out there, and I could be wrong. I love being wrong. I could be wrong, but I do think they were the only ones eating there. So, like, that would be like the dude at the Red Hat Company being like, we don't need MAGA. It's like, unless there's a new baseball team, I think you might. No, it was truly wild. And now MAGA's had a insane backlash. Look, I don't know what's bots and what's actually people upset. All I know is I've seen a lot of tweets. A lot of tweets being like, I can't believe, look at these. You know what's funny too? It's like sometimes people get mad at you and they start describing you in their anger. And it doesn't sound as bad as they think it sounds, but because it's what they're mad at you about, it sounds bad. I saw this one tweet that was like, look at this woman. She single-handedly tanked Cracker Barrel stock because she wanted to be a woke girl boss. She wanted to put her whole life into her career, and then she rose to the level of CEO, only to tank the company, though. She tanked the company. And yes, she's a young CEO, but she tanked the company. I'm just like, as you list the things, like as I was reading the tweet, I was like, I mean, outside of like 8 of these words, this is a good LinkedIn profile. That's why it almost felt like a bot, because it was like complimentary and angry at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, after her departure from this company, she came to Cracker Barrel, where she quickly rose through the ranks, only to tank the company, but quickly rose through the ranks. Okay. No. And like, that's the other thing that's frustrating about being online right now, is like, because so many people are not clear with the joke they're trying to make, I don't know what is a joke as far as like the remodel and redesign of Cracker Barrel, because that's also what's happening. They changed the logo, but changing the logo is what companies do when they're just floating something. They're just throwing the idea out there to sort of test the market reaction. Maybe they've already actually changed the logo, but it's very easy for a company to tweet out from the company account, what do y'all think about this logo? And do your market research that way. It's simple enough. But they said that not only were they changing the logo, they were going to remodel and redesign 500 locations, is at least what I read. And I saw a picture of the redesign. Look, I already wasn't eating at Cracker Barrel, so it's really like no stress to me. But for those that love Cracker Barrel, I was a little stressed out for them, because they really trying to modernize it, I guess. And the reactions to it were interesting. The reactions to it, it blew my mind a little bit. Because there were people genuinely being like, this is an erasure of American culture, and it is an erasure of white culture, like white heritage and everything. And like, I've been to a Cracker Barrel, and yes, it's very white, but like, I'm not even saying Cracker Barrel is bad. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to like figure out how to word this. Like, it's like, if you want to just talk about like white culture, like if you're concerned with like white heritage, it's just Cracker Barrel should be so low on that you know what I mean? I've grown up around white people. I've known white people my whole life, and very few have ever mentioned Cracker Barrel when it wasn't at the next exit. Like, I didn't know it meant this much to white people. That's ignorant of me. I am sorry to be walking around in America, of all places, not knowing how important this was to your heritage and culture. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for anybody, but I feel like even white people read that and were like, eh? No, I've had Cracker Barrel because, you know, I've been on the road, and I've always had it when it was like the last stop. It was like you either eat now, because they know where to put the Cracker Barrel. You either eat now, or you wait 35 minutes until the saddest McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's either like, look, you either have a burger or some pancakes, or you wait 35 minutes to be poisoned. You can decide. You can either have a little too much syrup on your pancakes or, you know, have the Snickers flavored hemlock. It just makes me mad. They're not even trying to be food anymore. They're like, no, we put the fryer is in the floor now. Like we just... It doesn't change. It does not change. I have a friend he's sweet. He's a good person. He's a very good person. But he is like gross. That's just a fact. I'm not being mean. I've told him to his face. And he has before, eaten in his car to the point of not knowing that he had like a wrapper in his car, and to the point of like maybe not finishing his meal in the car, going inside, and to the point of having an old burger in his car for quite a while. And a McDonald's burger, to be fair, not just picking on McDonald's here, any burger left out for long, for days, for road trips will smell. My problem is a McDonald's burger left in your car for a month. Stop smelling. Food is supposed to go through a process. Whatever that food is, it could be fruits, it could be vegetables, it could be meats, right? It could be everything except like maybe seeds are supposed to go through a change. They get to a point where they're growing, they get to a point where they're ripe. Even if it's meat, you get to a point where the animal is killed, the animal is prepared, and then the meat is there to be eaten. Even with processed food, the process is usually to extend the shelf life of the food, but there's still a time to eat it and a time to not. And the fact that McDonald's goes through the process, like the burger goes through the process, they actually, I think, kill a cow. They actually, I assume, make a burger. And then they actually sell it to you. And then maybe you get two, and then you only have time to eat one. And then maybe it falls off the passenger seat, and then it slides back because you were making a sharp left turn because you don't know how to drive. So you change lanes last minute when you're on the highway like a lunatic who's trying to get killed, who's trying to be injured in a car accident. And so you swerve, and then that swerve slides the burger under the seat, and you go about your life. You get home, you go to work the next day, you come home, you go to work the next day, you come home, and you do start to smell something. But because you're gross, you're not going to do anything about it. You just sort of know that you smell it. You're aware that there is a smell. You just are thinking about it sometimes like, never mind. That's the thought process of someone who is nasty. Because it's in your car, it's here. And you recognize it from before, from the last time you went, probably not a big deal. Probably not worth addressing. And then you wait. You wait until a friend, a good friend, a person who is not nasty, person named Josh gets in your car because you offered them a ride. And when you take one of your famous left turns and almost hit the car in front of you, you slam on the brake. And when you slam on the brake, something slides to the front of the... Something hits poor Josh's foot. Josh, being inquisitive, looks down and sees a fully wrapped McDonald's burger, and reaches down, and there's a feeling in the burger. A little tough. And then I'm like, oh, your burger fell. And then you disgusting freak, you go, what burger? And I'm like, this burger. And then I hold up the burger, and then you go, I haven't had McDonald's in weeks. And then Josh goes, oh. It's either that or Cracker Barrel, okay? And look, a part of me understands where people are coming from. Part of me understands that some people hate change. Some people love the nostalgia of going to Cracker Barrel. Some people they like it as a restaurant and they would prefer it stay the same. That's actually pretty normal. I even get upset sometimes when a grocery store that I like switches up the aisles a little bit. They're like, actually, we figured that the noodles should go over with the pasta. We had broken it up by ethnicity of the foods, and then we were worried that looked bad. So then we just put every noodle-shaped thing together, the noodles, the pasta, even just long sticks, they all on the same aisle right now, because we're one people. We don't want to break people off and make people be like, ooh, you're not as good, you gotta go further in the store and to aisle 8 because you like this sort of noodle. We just put everything in one. Even then, even when that's their reason, I'm like, ugh, why'd you have to change it? I knew where it was. Now I gotta be in here longer. And so I get people who are like, I just don't like it. I don't get people who are like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. That always ends up, I don't know, people always end up telling on themselves in that regard. If this is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, that a company you don't own changed their logo that you only looked at when you went. I don't know who loves Cracker Barrel enough to have the logo in a frame and kiss that picture every night before bed. I don't know what sort of Cracker Barrel freaks are out there. But yeah, the backlash has been stiff. It was swift. It happened quickly. They announced this change, and then they lost, apparently, $100 million in market value. I didn't know there were that many people to be upset about Cracker Barrel in dollars. I don't know if Cracker Barrel could afford that. The knickknacks are only like $2, so. No, they're in hot water right now. You just never think of the word valuation when you think of Cracker Barrel. Do you know what I mean? Like if Cracker Barrel, if they had been talking about Cracker Barrel on like Wolf of Wall Street, it would have been because the main character was smoking crack out of a barrel. You know what I mean? Wild to me that people are this upset. And I don't know, that's what I find interesting about like boycotts and protests sometimes, is that it just needs to be intentional to be effective, you know? And it could happen to any company. They forget that all the time, that it could happen to any of them, you know? But it just doesn't happen often enough. You know, they've consolidated to a point, they've built up monopolies to a point where if you're going to participate, you have to buy from one of them or some of them some of the time. And that's the situation we find ourselves in, you know. And then it's nice when you get a little glimmer of hope when people decide to, vote with their dollar and say, if this is how you feel about me, Target, then nah. Then no. And then, while you may not be Target's #1 customer, you may not be a Target head. Them not getting your $350, them not getting your $26.42, them not getting your $100, them not getting your $5, them not getting your $3, them not getting your $485 you're moving, them not getting all manner of money from you starts to equal up to about $100 million. And because of the system that we live in, very few of us, and I say us as in all of America, will have that much money to move. That is a very minute part of the entire population that has that amount of money to move, but together we have that much money to move. And because these companies are not people, because people you can reason with, people can understand something that is based in logic, but companies don't. Companies only understand gains and losses. And so the only way to make them understand is to make them lose. And make them lose so much that it hurts, and it really hurts. And then maybe when it really hurts, they'll make a change, not because better people are there, not because they fired a CEO and then hired a better person as a CEO. I don't know that many CEOs, but I imagine at a certain point, they have a similar outlook on the company and a similar outlook on the employees. I think that because of the system that we've built, when it comes to corporations, you're going to find very few compassionate CEOs or just incredibly reasonable people who want to do what's best for the customer. That might be what they say, but what the company does is different. And so I think that inside of all of that, you make the company hurt until someone comes along, and maybe their background is in accounting, maybe they're a sociologist, who knows, maybe they started in PR, but they know we have to reverse course or else the hurt will continue. And then you get what you want. You get what you boycotted for, what you protested for. These things are still possible, and it is simple, it is not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time. We are at an advantage. We're at an advantage that the people in the 50s, 60s, and 70s weren't at, because we don't need to be there all the time with our body using our specific voice. We can organize online. We can organize in person as well. We can build community around a cause. And then we can exact that cause to the tune of $100 million, And then when that thing happens, maybe the next company will go, but you know what happened to Target.
Make it loud right now for my friend Josh Johnson!
Is this really happening? Is this really happening? Was a thing that I found myself saying. I was with my friends and we were hiking, which was a mistake. Hiking, I don't hike often. Even the first time I went hiking was a bit of a trick, because they said it was a walk, which is technically not a lie, but it's not the walk I was anticipating. You can walk places. I could walk here. Hiking is going up nature steps for no reason. I'm not being a hater, by the way. If you like to hike, hike. Go take a hike. But if you want me to hike with you, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just good enough company that they're like, oh, we'll miss them. Let's hike together. As soon as I'm walking up, we have a problem. I like a walk. I like to go on a walk. That's how they got me. As soon as I'm walking and the steps are not, we've figured out steps. We have figured out the rise and the run that'll actually be decent on your hips. You want to get some exercise? Walk up that thing that Rocky ran up. This thing, I was like, eventually I'm like, where are we going? And they're like, to see the view. It's a beautiful day. We figure we go for a hike to see a beautiful view. And I'm like, oh, because you called it a walk. And then we hike. And we hike. I think about how the word hike got started. It's probably somebody going up for no reason. Seeing somebody coming down, because that's the other thing. Whenever you go hike, there'll be people who already hiked that you'll see on the way, and they'll give you hope. It's sick. It's sick. They will give you hope because now that it's easier to go down. You can fall down. It's easy to go down. So then the people that hiked up already, they were already tall. They were already there. And then now they turn around, and when they see you, you'll ask a question. Like I ask a question because I'm not enjoying hiking. So then I'm like, how much further? And I hate the way I ask. It's not exactly a manly way to ask. I'm not even putting on any like tough face. I'm like, how much further? And then they're like, you're almost there, and it's beautiful. Two lies in one sentence. Two. It feels like you're almost there to them because they turned around. They're going down now. It's easy. Going down is, smooth. They forgot when they were where we are. They've turned around. They don't even care how long it takes to get down because you're always almost down. If you get real tired of walking down, you can lean. Gravity will take care of the rest. It's gonna be beautiful. And then you keep walking. And then eventually you see another person. And you're like, that's crazy. I probably shouldn't see another person because I was almost there when I saw the last person. And you see the next person, the next person, just as optimistic. It's gross. I'm just as happy. I barely even got out the sentence to the next person. It's much further. And they're like, it's just a little bit further, and beautiful. Don't ever do that for anything but food. Don't stop acting like you can taste experience. The view, like. Did you walk up with your mouth open? Why? What's wrong with you? And luckily, this person, this liar, had a friend, a reluctant friend, a friend like me. Because they were like, oh, no, you're going to love it. You're almost there. It's beautiful. And then their friend was like, friend's over here. Which is also crazy. I was like, why would they just telling us with their eyes? Like, clearly, I don't know. It felt like they were in a relationship. Or one of them was trying to be. Like, that was a weird get out signal. It was a weird, like, you know when somebody shakes their head and the jowls really go like, we go up, we go up, we go up. And then I see another person. I see another person. And they're coming down. And when I see them, I'm like, I love. And who knows? Maybe it was like looking to them. Maybe we were having a very specific moment. Maybe they used to be like me because they somehow, genuinely, they somehow understood me. And they were like, it's right behind me. Kept walking down. And then we get up there and I see the view. That is cloudy. I walked all the way up here to see stuffing. Like it looked like when a dog rip up a toy real good. Bunch of white clouds, some gray. I didn't know we walked this high. At one point I had to ask myself, I'm like, am I still alive? Like this. Is this happening? Is what was going through my head when I saw it coming at us. This turtle. Turtle was coming at, and not just a turtle coming at us, a turtle was coming at us fast. None of this should be happening. I'm at the top of a mountain with a fast turtle locking in on me. The turtle is coming so fast. And when I tell you fast, I don't mean fast for a turtle. I mean actually fast. I mean it like almost broke my brain. Fast. A turtle. And not like fast like, not like storybook fast, not like sloppy fast, which felt faster. It was really like flip, 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 but at like warp speed. It's crazy. It was. Guys, y'all, listen. I was losing my mind because it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't fast the way a roach can be fast. It was fast like a turtle put on fast forward. This turtle is over here coming directly at me. And so appropriately, I scream. And this is what sucked about that day. I'm already out of breath from my walk up. So I can't breathe enough to scream, and I'm also scareder than I've been in several days. Because a turtle is zooming at me fast. And so then I've got my phone in my hand, and this is the worst part, okay. So I scream, but I scream with the phone in the hand. And when you, maybe this is like a man thing. Maybe this might sound insane to some of y'all. But as a man, when you scream and you're genuinely scared, you hope you don't have anything in your hands. Because the way your hands shake the thing in your hands betrays how scared you are. If I scream, but I don't have anything in my hands, I'm like, ah! That's life. I had my phone in my hand, so I had a visible representation of how terrified I was, because the phone is like, ah! If the phone had moved a centimeter in my hand, it'd be like, he's not even really that scared, he's just surprised. The phone moved easily a foot and a half. Ah! And then I seemed insane to my friends because I saw it first. So for them, I'm someone who they admittedly tricked into hiking, and I was huffing and puffing, and everyone we saw was like, how much further? How much further? And now we're at the top, and they're mad too. All they see are clouds. We probably shouldn't have done this. There's plenty of places to exercise. And then they're looking out at this disappointing view, and they hear, ah! It would have been better if I had dropped my phone, because I'm screaming and I'm back on, ah! And then the turtle is coming at me. And then everybody sees it. And this is where I lose people and people lose me, because then this is where the story gets muddy, right? Because we all ran. Everybody ran. I turned around, everybody with me. So we were all scared. And everybody ran, right? But then, after we run, after we're safe, now they want to tell me that wasn't a turtle. I saw it first. I saw it the longest. I decided what it was. And I'm not even saying I decide what it was because I'm always right. I'm just saying I think I should get to decide what it is because I was staring at it the longest and it was coming right at me. Terrifying stuff, you know. Do you like care? Do you, like, not about that. Do you No, do you care? Because, okay, there are things that happen sometimes that no one can agree on, like, the proper etiquette for how to handle. Because there's enough going on socially that people start making up rules as they go to sort of get through life. And then after a while, you know, now that we're not like in the wilderness anymore, and now that we have like modern technology, now there's a little bit of breakdown. There's a little bit of breakdown in like what's proper etiquette, right? So for me, this is my thing, and I'm not asking you, don't say anything out loud. Answer the question in your head, because I cannot tell, and I've had countless arguments about this. Is it messier to answer the phone on speakerphone and not tell somebody they're on speakerphone? Or is it messier to call somebody knowing you want to talk mess and there's a possibility of being on speakerphone? It's hard to tell. They're both not good. It's happened many times. Many times I've been in the car with somebody and they throw speakerphone on. They either are, trying to drive responsibly, or they just love answering on speakerphone because they love having their hands free and they don't have their AirPods in or whatever, right? One time, I was with some friends and they were calling some family. We're in the car and family member picks up. But it's not who they call, it's the kid. The kid calls and is like, "Hi." And we're like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, "Oh, I'm good." And this kid doesn't care that they're on speakerphone. They don't have anything to say that's like, hush hush. But they're like, "What are you doing?" And the kid is like, "Oh, I'm just eating hot dogs and sitting on toilet." Okay. Okay. Good talk, buddy. Many times it's been, conversation, calling, answer, speakerphone. I personally think that if I call you and you pick up and I'm on speakerphone should be my last name. You're on speakerphone should be my last name. "Hey, Josh, you're on speakerphone." A simple warning. And I'm not even messy like that, but still, what if something happens in real time? I should know when I'm in mixed company and when I'm in the company of the person that I called. I wasn't in the car for this one. But, okay. Let's just call them, Mark and Sarah. Mark had been away on some business, and this was back in the day before Uber. So you really needed somebody to pick you up from the airport if you didn't park your car at the airport beforehand. You could call a taxi, but it'd be quite a while and everything, right? And so Sarah's mom picked up Mark at the airport, and they had schemed together to surprise Sarah with him being back in town early, because she was already supposed to have a little picnic with her mom, and it was just going to be one of those picnics where it's like the mom comes and she's like, "Who's that behind you?" "It's Mark." "Oh, wow." Before YouTube, so it wouldn't have gone viral. And so then Sarah's mom, thinking it would be a cute little thing to tee up what they were about to do, calls Sarah just to be like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good. I'm excited for our picnic." "Oh, so am I. Have you talked to Mark today?" "No, I haven't talked to him today." "Oh, okay. I was just wondering." Just, a little primer for the surprise, right? And so she calls her, and she's on speakerphone, and Sarah picks up, and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Excited for our picnic." "Oh, so am I. Have you talked to Mark today?" No. We haven't talked today. And honestly, it's probably important that we do, because I don't know. I don't don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's just hard. I feel like the spark is like gone. Like it's just, you know, and maybe you went through this thing with Dad, but just, I don't know, like sometimes he's gone and I'm like, all right. Yeah, it's like, this doesn't really feel like it used to or anything. And even when he gets back, I'm like, not that excited. I should be more excited. I don't know, like it's probably, we should probably get a divorce. Like if I've been feeling this way for so long. And Sarah's mom looks over at Mark like, ugh. You know when you can't cringe enough? I've never been driving for it, but like I imagine that steering wheel was going through it. She had to be gripping that thing. Like the car was about to take off and fly away. And then she goes, well, sweetie? Mark's with me now. And Mark goes, hey, honey. Then she goes, oh. Do you think we should get a divorce? And it's like, do you even care that you're on speakerphone? Like, I am not like a tough guy. Sometimes I've like wanted to be a tough guy before. Especially when I was like little, I wanted to be like, yeah, tough. I'd even try to break the rules sometimes. You know what I mean? I'd have a pen, and I'd walk right up to like a white wall and be like, Vandalism. Deal with it. Like I wanted to like be bad, but I just didn't have it. Even now, it's like it's never done a drug. I don't drink or anything. One time I was like, you know what? Why should I deprive myself? Everybody seems like they're having so much fun. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have a virgin margarita. I wonder what the flavor is. I've never had margarita flavor before. So I had a virgin margarita. Turns out, way too sweet. Like, ridiculously sweet. I used to be a bar back where I served people virgin margaritas. No wonder they got so drunk. These are delicious. I didn't have any alcohol, but I was like, I think I'll have another. I think I'll have another. I think I'll have another. To the point where I did get sick. I got sick off virgin margaritas. And like real sick too. Like, called my friends. I was so sick. I was with some friends. I called other friends. I called friends to be like, You know, y'all been drunk before. Y'all have had your benders and everything. I don't have any alcohol in me, but I got like the other half. I got like all the sugars. My stomach hurt. And like, look, I don't like that it happened. But I was not throwing up. I was just saying ooh a lot because it felt like I was gonna throw up. So I kept being like ooh. Because then you know when you think you're about to throw up, so you start arguing with yourself, where you're like, no. I'm telling my friends, I don't, and they're like, do you need us to take you to the hospital? I don't know if I'd live it down. I don't know if I could live down being rushed to the hospital off virgin margaritas. Maybe having to get my stomach pumped off virgin margaritas because I ingested a childish amount of sugar. But they were like, I called my friend, and they were like, do you need us to take you to the hospital? I was like, who is us? And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, you're on speakerphone. There's no way to take your cool back off speakerphone. I was so embarrassed. I was on speakerphone, and then I muted. I don't know. I was thinking I was drunk on virgin margaritas. Oh. But those are the things I've been thinking about because I've been watching what's happened. Whether you like Jimmy Kimmel or not, whether you watch the show, whether you care about his show or him or like, it's television. I've heard all the excuses. The excuses came quick. Because this is unprecedented. And when things are unprecedented, you wonder should you do something? And you don't have to do anything if there's an excuse. You don't have to do anything if it's okay. I've heard people, I'm sure they were losing money anyway. No. I don't really like what he said. What'd he say? Oh no, this thing was a long time coming because of how he's been acting. How has he been acting? Help me understand. Because the thing about free speech, especially like free speech wars, you always have to be careful. Who actually cares about everybody's speech, who's an actual absolutist, and who's just trying to like get in, who's just trying to sneak in, because there are some people who have some heinous things to say, and they want to be able to say those things, and they use free speech as their anchor. That's their in. They wedge themselves in that way. But then when it's their turn to talk, what they actually want is for other people to not be able to talk. That's what they've wanted for a long time. Like I'm blown away about a thing that we've done since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, it was explained to me that we had all these sorts of rights and that these rights were fought for and that these rights were things that we had that other people didn't have. There are other people in other countries that weren't as fortunate to have the rights that we have, right? And there's always been something that bothered me about that sentiment, about that idea. Because your freedom, your freedom it's yours because it's yours. Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can make you as free as you were born. Life gives you freedom. You're supposed to be free. You're supposed to be able to say the things that you think. You're supposed to be able to express yourself. Government can't give you freedom. It can definitely try to take things away, but even within what it tries to take away, it can't really take it away because the freedom wasn't given to you by the government to take away. Government you could buy a house at auction. Let's say somebody fell behind on their property taxes, so now their property's up for auction. You buy it, then you fall behind on those same property taxes. Government takes it away. It was never really yours. Freedom doesn't work that way. And so we walk around and we talk about how we have all these freedoms. These are our freedoms, and they're not from a government. These are God-given things. These are things that you were born with. These are things that nobody can take away. Even if they try. Even if they try. Look, they tried with people throughout history. And there are people that live in a world without those freedoms, right? But even the resistance to express yourself is still your freedom trying to like sprout out of all of that cover. Your freedom is yours. I can't stress it enough. It's like saying, government, let me keep all my toes. Well, the government can only try to take away toes. They don't really hand out toes. It feels like you're giving the government an awful lot of credit. It's your freedom. It was given to you by something that outlasts all of this stuff. You know what I mean? And it can't really be taken away. You can be manipulated, and you can be scared. You could be angry enough, like some people are angry enough, to let someone's freedom of speech be taken away. You could be fearful. You could be so fearful that just the threat of an investigation, just the threat of some sort of government overreach makes you cave before there's even a solidified threat there. You know, you have a fear, you have an anger, you can have a hate that goes deeper than an anger. You can be so confused about what's going on, you just want someone to make a definitive statement about anything. You'll just go with it because you hate not knowing, you hate uncertainty. And then you see something like what happened to Jimmy Kimmel happen. And then you see people ask, is this really happening? Because it was never supposed to be able to happen here. And it's because of a lie that we told ourselves. We told ourselves that every country and everyone was different from us. Which is why we don't recognize ourselves when things that are only supposed to happen in other places happen here. You know? That's low-key the American way. The American way is to be like, well, look, of course it would happen there. It's because they're not over here. And it's like, no, whatever it is, happened over there because it could happen anywhere, especially if you're not vigilant, especially if you think that things won't happen to you just because. There is no more just because. Is this really happening? Yes, it's happening. As wild as it may seem, as surreal as it is, you know, it's coming, and it's coming fast, like a turtle that shouldn't be on a mountain. Is this happening? Yes, it is happening. This is happening. There's no way around it. The people who are okay with it are okay with it for now. But there are plenty of people that I don't even like that have the presence of mind to know that this is not just crazy, this is unacceptable. This cannot happen here. It can't happen here. Because look, this is the other scary thing about government. And I'm not just trying to scare you. I'm just telling you everything that I've seen, everything I've ever read about, and people from other countries that have different life experiences to us. I'm telling you what they're saying, right? Pendulum swing. And one thing that governments don't do, hardly any government does, is give back the power it took in some way. You know what I mean? If you give over to fear, if you give them these things, they will be given and taken for good. There's no way around it. And we've already seen you cannot do enough. You will not be good enough. You won't be complacent enough. You can't placate enough to make it stop. It will not stop. They came for a white man with money. Do you know how nervous that makes a black guy? They came for a white man with money that really didn't do anything. And when I say really didn't do anything, people can go back and forth about trying to cherry pick or like the phrase of a thing, or here's what I thought he said when he said whatever. That does not matter. That actually gets us into a conversation we shouldn't even be in, because it shouldn't even be on the table, all right? It is not going to just go away, and it's not going to just stop. So then it's important. Do you care? Because if you care, that's very different. If you're scared, it's understandable. Plenty of people are scared. People with money are scared. ABC was scared. Disney was scared. You know Disney. Oh, you know Disney. Disney was scared. Disney, the same people who come up from behind you if you draw a picture of Mickey and go, what do you think you're doing with that, huh? Huh? We'll change the fair use laws and we'll make this illegal. Those people were scared. Being scared is human. But not doing anything is a choice, and not making your voices heard, and not you don't just take for granted what's happening. I think that there is, in my opinion, not enough alarm bells sounding. You know what I mean? Because we all saw it, but it's like in a hush, in a whisper, and I'm wondering why that is, because this man still loses in court. Just today, a judge threw out some $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. When these things go to court, they don't not just win, they don't prevail, they don't proceed, because under the law, they are illegal, you know? And any sort of strong arming by the government should really, really, really sound the alarms for any citizen. Pendulums swing. Governments do not give back power that they've taken. 9/11 was a long time ago. When did we get our privacy back? You know what I mean? So if it happened with privacy and then became normal and then you didn't really care, the same thing could happen with speech. All of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I guess I should get Grok to proofread my sentiments on the day. You're not alone in being worried, you're not alone in being fearful, you're not alone in being angry. The thing about not being alone is that you just have to find the other people. You have to find the other people who feel the way that you feel, and you have to stay in communion with them as strong as you can. Because it's the other people who feel the way you feel that will stop you from feeling crazy. And it is the only thing. That's the only thing that will, if you keep the phone in your face, you will feel like you're losing your mind. Because it's all happening so fast, all happening all the time. Like, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not. I almost die off virgin margaritas. And I screamed. I screamed. And I ran from a turtle. But I can't run from this, and neither can you. I love you all, and we have each other, okay? Thank you all so much. Thanks for coming out.
When I